What's up guys? How is everyone doing? In this video, I wanted to go through Axie Infinity, but this time I wanted to go through it from an investor's point of view. And the reason why I want to do that is because just recently I came across a couple of the tweets that Axie Infinity made. And if you don't know who these guys are and what they do, I'll go through it really quickly soon. But basically, they've had some sales that are pretty good prices. I mean, 5.1 Ethereum for this Axie, 1.6 Ethereum for this Axie. And I am more, and I'll be honest, I am more of a collector, a trader, an investor than someone that's interested in gameplay. I like gaming. I used to play RuneScape. I play a crap load of Warcraft and Dota. But like, what's most appealing to me is how these little things have value and how you can trade them and make money from trading these things and, play games, play tournaments, and earning an income from this is just like a wild concept, right? And that's what's interested me. So any game that comes out there in the crypto built on the blockchain that has a decent amount of volume and high sale items like Axie Infinities, like these seem to be 1.6 ETH and 5.1 Ethereum. That's when I start to get involved. I start to take another look and try and figure out why are they worth that much. So I just got tweeted this a couple of days ago. So I'm kind of just looking into the game a little bit more to figure out what's going on. And I thought I'd share what I've learned. So quickly, if you don't know what Axie Infinity is, this page does a really good job at explaining that. axieinfinity.com/game-intro. It's kind of like the landing page for Axie Infinity that goes through like what it is, what you can actually do with an Axie. Basically, it's a mix of like the Tamagotchi/Pokemon worlds. They're trying to build like a kind of a fantasy mythic universe where you can build, you can take care of your Axie. You can grow it, you can enter it into battles and tournaments, you can feed it, all those cute little things that used to come with a Tamagotchi, and all those cool things that you probably remember about Pokemon mixed into one. And each Axie has a bunch of parts. So this thing has like, obviously it has horns, it's got tails, it's got gills, eyes, mouth, frills and legs and all that kind of stuff. And all these parts are randomized, okay? And you can get different types of Axies. You can get the reptile one, bird, plant, beast, bug, blah, blah, blah. But what's important and what actually makes Axies valuable is the types of parts that you end up with, okay? So you got your common parts, you got rare parts, ultra rare, and legendary parts. But what's most interesting, so back in the day, okay, so back in the day when Axie Infinity was new, they had a pre-sale, and in the pre-sale you could adopt Axies, which is basically purchasing Axie eggs kind of, and then once the pre-sale was over and all these eggs kind of hatched, or I'm not sure if they hatched before the pre-sale was over, but when the Axie was revealed, then you had a chance of getting an Axie with a mystic part, okay? So there's like, I don't know, 6 to 8 parts for the Axie. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 4. So 6 different parts for the Axies. And these blue parts are mystic parts. And if you were the lucky few that got an Axie with at least one mystic part, then your Axie would be worth more than the others. And if you check the marketplace, you will notice that there are Axies that were sold in the pre-sale, and those Axies that were sold in the pre-sale are tagged. They've got this tag on them that says Origin. Okay, so all the marketplace, all the Axies that you'll see on the marketplace. Let me pull it over really quickly over here. So you can see that if you go to the Axie Infinity marketplace, there's a ton of Axies for sale, right? So all up, there are 833 Axies for sale. Now all these Axies are worth different amounts, 0.05 ETH for like the most basic ones. But what actually has value is Axies that have mystic parts and Axies that have a certain level of pureness, but we're not going to go through that now. But like Axies that you could purchase, from the origin, like during the pre-sale, have an origin tag on them. So if you see this origin tag, like some don't have those tags and they're not as valuable. Some have that origin tag, and that's because that these Axies were only available during the pre-sale. So those have value. The ones that have more value are the ones that have this. See this blue part? That's a mystic part. This has 2 mystic parts. This one has 1 mystic part. This one has 0 mystic parts. And what I've done is I've done my kind of research into the valuations of these things. And this, what I've found is there's 289 Axies on the marketplace with 1 mystic part or more. There's 70 that have 2 mystic parts or more. There's 17 only that have 3 mystic parts or more. And there's only 3 that have 4 mystic parts or more. Now, the ones that are 4 mystic parts or more are actually the cheapest you can get are 50 Ethereum. Like that's the cheapest one for sale right now. Obviously, the prices are dictated by people selling them and whatever the price they're willing to expect. And I'm pretty sure they'll come down. But to get an Axie that has at least 1 mystic part, then you're looking at 0.5 Ethereum at the lowest and above. Okay, like that's the cheapest Axie you can get. So if you add the filter of 1 mystic, so we're going to go mystic and we're going to go 1 part mystic, and we're going to say the cheapest price, so the lowest price. The lowest price is 0.5 Ethereum for at least 1 mystic part. Okay, and then you go to 2 mystic parts. What's the price? And the cheapest is 1.7 Ethereum. And then if you go 3 mystic parts, I think it's like 10 Ethereum or something. But basically, the more mystic parts it has, the more expensive the Axie. And on the marketplace, I mean, they're trading quite frequently. There's a lot of volume going on for these Axies in the last 24 hours. Only 4 Axies sold. But like, it's a very, like, as long as it's had consistent volume for like months on end, that gives you an idea that this game is kind of here to stay. There's people interested trading. Oh, seems that that would have been, sorry, I've ordered it wrong. So these were the last 4 Axies sold, so about $50. It's about the average Axie. This one sold for 1.3 Ethereum, and if you kind of click into why, let's try and figure out why. Let's look into the Axie, and I bet you it probably has like a couple of mystic parts. It's got 1 mystic part. Pretty interesting. Reptile. So it's worth taking a look into this game. If it blows up and it becomes something really big, and what I've also noticed on the Twitter, is that the number of wallets or the number of users is growing. Okay, the only way to get an Axie now and onwards in this game so far is to purchase it off someone else. So you could get an Axie by purchasing it in the pre-sale, which is no longer available. The game's been out for a while. The only way to get an Axie now is to buy it from someone else. But there's only like 1,000 or so Axies, or I don't know how many, but there's only 833 available in the marketplace. I don't know how many sold during the ICO stage, but those ones are going to be the most unique. Crypto collectibles is a lot about scarcity. And the more scarce the item is, the more valuable it's going to be. So like I mentioned before, there's only 3 Axies for sale that have 4 mystic parts or more. So if this game blows up and you have one of those, then you have something very valuable. And I don't think it's going to take much for this game to blow up. I mean, they've got a lot of beautiful features. They've got beautiful artwork. I think like their Tamagotchi style kind of mystic, fantasy style creatures, I think works really well with those interested in this type of genre. And you can collect these things and enter them into battle. 80% of the features haven't even been released yet. So it was still really, really early in Axie collecting. So I think this is a very cheap time to get in, especially with Ethereum prices so low right now. But if you can imagine, like there's only like 500 or 600 Axies out there for sale that are the origin Axies, right? So if all of these get bought out and the game gets like thousands of thousands or maybe tens of thousands of users or players, then your origin Axie is going to be worth more. So it's something to remember. Like I'm trying to get into the game, and I'd probably grab something with at least one or two mystic parts just to hold on to and see what happens. Later on, they're going to be releasing like terrariums where you can buy these terrariums to, breed and take care of your Axies on, and you can trade and sell these terrariums. You can buy parts for your terrariums. There's going to be mini games you can enter, and there's going to be tournaments, all these kind of things that are going to be available once it happens. So if you're like, for example, if your mystic part, so this Axie's mystic part, I think was its ears, and you can upgrade, like when you fight into battles, that mystic part gets upgraded into a legendary part, okay, as it evolves, and that's what the legendary part looks like. So they've got their own unique artwork for these mystic parts, and I think I'm looking at it from an investor's point of view. Like, I don't think I'm going to have much fun playing the game. It's more the value that's going to come from me playing that game. Like, what monetary value is there? Is it enough for me to really look into? I haven't played the game yet, but like, there's big community behind the game. So I think it's worth taking another look into and grabbing yourself an Axie that's at least an origin Axie. Like, many Axies right now are available for 0.05 Ethereum. They have no value. They don't have much value because they're not the origin Axies. So you got origin, and then your origin might have a mystic part, you might have two mystic parts, three mystic parts. Mystic parts are only available for the origin Axies. So I think for 0.1 Ethereum, you can probably get an Axie that's an origin Axie. So I'd get that, or one with a mystic part. And who knows where this world is going to go? Like, whether it's what's it called? Whether it is Axie Infinity, whether it's Decentraland, whether it's Gods Unchained, Ethereum, whatever it is, like, these are attempts to create a game on the blockchain, and the best attempts so far. And they're the early ones, CryptoKitties, another example. If you can get a couple of rare items within these games at the early stages when they're not worth much, like 5 to 10 years from now, like, these are the early games that people are going to look back into and reminisce, just like people do Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Dragon Ball Z cards, Pokemon cards, except obviously you don't have something physical, but you have something of value, an asset that's stored on your wallet, on the blockchain, and you can trade these just like you can cards with anyone in the world. So stay tuned and check out Axie Infinity. Make sure you are connected with their Twitter account and have a shot. I think it's worth buying into an Origin Axie and following what they have to offer.